I know it's here somewhere. Finally. Oh, it's time for the doctor. You're listening to Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. Take it away, Doctor.
Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon, is brought to you by GoToMeeting with HD Faces. Well, it's that time again, and the doctor is in. It's time for another Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon netcast. Yes, we have stuff to talk about this week. Yes. And we are proud members of the Tech Podcast Network, techpodcast.com. If it's tech, it's right here on Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. By the way, this weekend, or today, I should say, probably, Todd Cochran with the Tech Podcast Network is having a 24-hour podcast. All day long, 24 hours, he's doing a podcast. Dude, that would knock me right out. I would be, you can't keep your energy up for 24 hours straight with no stop. But anyway, he's going to have other tech podcasters on there to help him, but still, he's going to be one tired puppy when it's all over with. But it is for a good cause. They're trying to raise $2,500 for the Wounded Warrior Project. So, go to geeknewscentral.com and contribute to the Wounded Warrior Project for his 24-hour podcast. It is highly worthwhile. Yes. So, what else do I want to get into now, or do I want to wait? I will get into it now. And that is, of course, the blog. The blog, of course, being drbill.tv, drbill.tv, as it says here on the screen. We're going to first, for the very first item, talk about another nasty Internet Explorer problem. Now, of course, you know that Internet Explorer is bad. Whoa. Contrary to one of my fellow system administrators at work, it is not the safest browser. It is not the best browser. In fact, it barely qualifies as a browser. Just saying. It's more like a pain in the old rear end. But anyway, I prefer, of course, Google Chrome, which is the safest and best browser, and then, of course, followed very closely behind by Mozilla's Firefox. Firefox used to be my very favorite browser until they started having memory problems, and it just got slower and slower and slower and slower. And then, you know, they fixed a lot of that now, but they kind of lost me along the way. You know what I mean? Sorry, Mozilla. But anyway. So, the IE flaw allows attackers, advertisers to track your cursor movements. Ew. It's a privacy issue. A software engineer from online analytics company Spider.io is claiming that a security flaw in Internet Explorer 6 through 10, check that out, 6 through 10, just so you'll know that's 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of Internet Explorer. That's pretty much all modern Internet Explorer versions. Could allow attackers or advertisers to track your mouse movements, potentially compromising data entered via virtual keyboards. That would be bad, particularly if you entered a password on your virtual keyboard. Yes. So, the message here is stay away from the Internet Explorer forever. I mean, after all, it's made by Microsoft. Which, in case you don't know, is the evil empire. Just saying. All right, it's tinfoil hat time. This was posted on December the 12th. Yes. Tinfoil hat time. You know I love tinfoil hat time. I don't know why. Anyway, here's what I said. All right, you conspiracy theory guys, it's time to celebrate weirdness. Are you ready? Today, when this was posted, Today is officially 12/12/12. Cool. There is a new moon. There was on 12/12/12, making it 0% illuminated. The moon is 363,549 kilometers from Earth today. That is on 12/12/12, which is 225,899 miles. Huh? How cool is that? You want to make something of it? That's what I say in the post. Plus, a 16-foot asteroid just missed hitting Earth on Tuesday. You can check it out in a link to a UK website. A 16-foot asteroid nearly missed Earth by a mere 8,900 miles. In space, that's nothing, dude. On Tuesday morning. And thanks to the amazing power of spelling checkers on computers, 1 out of 5 kids will get a visit from Satan this year for Christmas. Is this a weird time or what? Yee. Just saying. Whoa! That drum roll, which woke me up, tells us that it's time for Uniform Server, which is our Geek Software of the Week. Geek Software of the Week this week, Uniform Server. Now, this is not a server for uniforms. You know, like Army, Navy, Marines, Boy Scout, Cub Scout, any of those uniforms. No, not that kind of uniforms. Uniform is in the same sort of, kind of. Uniform Server. Now you might say to yourself, you might say, why do I care about Uniform Server? Well, I'll tell you. Here is the reason. Uniform Server is a lightweight mobile WAMP server solution. Now you may be saying to yourself, WAMP? What's WAMP? It sounds rather messy. No. WAMP is an alternative to LAMP. LAMP is Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. Okay? So WAMP is take the Linux and plug in Windows, and you got Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. Yes. So what Uniform Server does is allow you to have a portable, mobile, you can even run it off a USB stick, web server that is fully functional. Think about it, where you can do testing and such. And for this week's walkthrough, let's look at Uniform Server. So what we're looking at here is Uniform Server, which is a lightweight mobile WAMP server solution. You may say, now what's WAMP? Well, WAMP is Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. Now normally you run a web server on the internet, typically as a LAMP server. Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. All of my servers are running LAMP as the stack that supplies all the power, you might say, behind my websites. Now, WAMP is very interesting because it allows you to run Apache, MySQL, and PHP on a Windows platform. And the interesting thing about Uniform Server is that you can download it, which we're going to do here. And when you download it, it allows you to run this program without, quote, installing it. Now we're going to download the latest version, and you'll see that it's actually a fairly small download once it starts downloading here. I've got the network fairly busy because in the background I'm doing an upload to my cloud area, S3. So it's taking a little longer than it normally would, but believe me, this is a very small file. It's 14 meg, and let me clear this out so that that's the only thing we have there. And so there you go. It says it's going to take 4 minutes, roughly 3 minutes. which probably it wouldn't, if it weren't for the fact, of course, that I have some stuff going on in the background. But that's just because I'm a busy guy. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll probably cut some of this out to shorten the time and then show you what this is going to be like, because it is very impressive how this works. There we go. About time. All right, so let's execute it. Oh, Windows 8's trying to protect me. I don't want Windows 8 to protect me. Run anyway. Oh, hey, there you go. See, Windows 8 can't fool it. Sigh. It's trying to protect me from myself, which in a lot of folks' cases is a good thing. Okay, so we're extracting. Now we have extracted it, and it should be, let me do a refresh here, should have extracted it into a directory. Here, there we go, MP3 Mate Pro, that's not it, no. Hold on. Oh, there it is, Uniserver. Silly me, I missed it. All right, here is the directory. You can tell I'm just doing this. Remember, almost live as it can be. It put it in my downloads directory under a Uniserver subdirectory, and we have all these programs here. Now, as you might expect, the www folder with a .htaccess file and an index.php is indeed where your web server will be running from. But notice what you have here. Start as a program or start as a service. If you ran start as a service, it would run it as a service that starts when your computer starts. Okay? So if you wanted to do that, I would suggest moving this entire directory structure somewhere that you want it to stay. In other words, not under downloads. But for our purposes right now, I'm just going to start it as a program. Yes, Windows 8, I do want it really to start. Now, it's going to prompt me and say, do you want to change your MySQL password? Now, I would encourage you to change your MySQL password. But as it says, there's no real need to change it, even though there's a good practice to do so. If you were going to install this and use it permanently, I would change it. For our purposes of this test, I'm going to say no. And it's going to say, whoa, look, you missed a startup option. The next time you start Corral, you'll be prompted again. So, no to be prompted the next time, sure, that's fine. All right. Here is the control panel for Uniform Server. Notice you can start Apache, start MySQL, or start both. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start both. And notice it comes up again because Windows 8 is so serious about security. I'm going to have to open up a port in my firewall in order to allow it to run, and that's fine. All right, so now let's check our server status. Okay, there's my IP address. It's not accessible from the internet because I haven't opened it up to the outside world through my router. Okay, the router is not configured for this IP address to be visible to the outside world. That's what that means, okay? So, we'll go back here, and let's see. According to this, it should potentially be running. So let's do this. Let's do localhost. And sure enough, there's Uniform Server. Now, this is a web server running on my Windows 8 laptop. Okay? Normally, in order for you to have a web server like this available on the internet, you would have to be running it from a server. But this is running Uniform Server. Notice we set it up now. It's not installing any DLLs. It's not installing anything in the background in Windows. It's all running from that one directory we had there, which is really pretty cool. It's not touching your internals of your system, so it makes it very easy to get rid of. Now, this is serving out from that directory that I talked about. Let's go back there and look. Here is the PHP file. I'm going to open it up. There's all the code. So instead of welcome to the uniform server, I'm going to change that code to say welcome to Dr. Bill's uniform server. And then I'm going to save that. We'll go back to the web and we will reload it, and there you go. So as you can see, we're really serving out that web page directly from our laptop running uniform server. Pretty cool stuff. Now, let me show you something even cooler. We're going to get down to the really cool stuff now. I'm going to go here to, let's see where I might have this. That's not it. Oh, here we go. Let's do this directory. Well, no, let's do this directory. All right, I'm going to copy this whole directory. I'm going to come back up here to downloads, to the Uniserver directory, and to www. And then I'm going to paste that whole directory there. Now you're saying, why? Well, I'll show you. If we look in this directory, oh, phooey, I'm wrong. Hold on. That is not a full copy of what I'm after. And I want a full copy. You can tell I've been a very busy guy here. Okay, that's not what I'm after. How about that? Ah, there you go. Let's do this one. Copy that. Don't you just love these little impromptu demos like this where I don't plan it out so thoroughly that it's just so boring? This is real life, folks. Now, that looks more like the amount of stuff that needed to be there. Let's go into that directory. This is Durcaster. I've already got the config.inc set up. I've got override files out here that point to files on the cloud. Matter of fact, let me show you that. That'll be kind of fun. All right, I'm going to edit this file. You notice this is a Christmas greeting video from Dr. Larry Hutton. Here's where it's located in the cloud, the length and the time and all that good information. I'm going to close that up. Now, let's make a note of this directory, LHM video. I'm going to grab that. Let's go back to our uniform server page. There we go. Localhost, and we're going to paste that in. Now check this out. This is XML delivered by Durcaster. Now, that doesn't look so hot because Chrome does not show an RSS feed in a pretty manner. But check this out. Same feed, I just cut and pasted it, but I pasted it into Firefox. And here is our Christmas video. Here is the file, and here is all the rest of the feed that Durcaster creates for us automatically. Now, if I look at the page source, it is that XML code. Okay? But Firefox is rendering it to be a more friendly looking page. All right? So, what did we just do here? In a matter of a few minutes, we set up a web server with PHP, which is what Durcaster runs under, and we set up an RSS feed based on those override files that are in that directory. Override files are these little text files here. Now, that's based on a setting in the new latest version of Durcaster. How cool is that? You can point to a location on the cloud. And if you notice, if I copy this link location, and then let's go to Notepad and paste that link location in, there's the location that it's coming to us from off the cloud. Pretty cool stuff. Now, I'm going to blank that out, actually. I'm going to show you something else. If I go here, let's see. Now, it's the same link location. That's all right. That's because of the way I've got this set up. Had this been set up so that it was getting the information from the feed. In other words, if I had the feed set up correctly, let's put it that way, with this option, I could have embedded the Blueberry and Tech Podcast Network stats program into the feed so that when people clicked on this and ran it, it would actually register in the stats. And that's a feature of Durcaster, kind of a feature you have to enable, which is why it's not enabled here. Here, if I click on this file and say, yes, I want to open it with Windows Media Player, there's the Christmas video from Larry Hutton. So, that's how you can deliver your videos, even from your laptop. Now you say, well, why would I want to deliver videos? Why would I want to have an RSS feed? Why would I want to have a WAMP server coming off my laptop? Well, maybe you don't, but maybe what you want to do is test your build before you put it up on the server. This is a perfect way to do that. So something to think about. So how cool is that? There you go. This week's Geek Software of the Week, Uniform Server.
So, isn't that useful? Isn't that cool? I'm telling you. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, Dr. Bill, you could have had that better prepared so it wasn't quite so disjointed. What can I say? That's the way I do things. Just saying. All right. Next week, there's a beta for Steam for Linux. Dude, Steam now has a Linux client that it's going to start using in beta. Now, this UK website, the guy keeps saying beta. It's a beta version. Well, that's because he's British. We got to cut him some slack for being British. It's really a beta. Just saying. B-A-Y, beta, as in, instead of B-E-E, beta. But anyway, so, next week, you will be able to try Steam gaming from your Linux box. Dude. And I actually have a video here on the blog of course being drbill.tv, where you can watch how it works. It basically works very much like Steam for Windows, which is good because that's the way it should work. Just saying. So there you go. Cool, huh? All right. Well, it's time to talk a little bit about our sponsor. Our sponsor this week, of course, is Citrix Systems. Citrix Systems has an awesome program called GoToMeeting with HD Faces. I'm telling you, you need to check the software out. It is awesome for collaboration, for meeting, for getting together, and just basically bringing people together to brainstorm ideas that will help your business, help maybe your church, your social group, whatever it is that you need to get people together. This is the way to do it. Even if they're on the other side of the planet, you can actually get them together. And now a new feature that is in this brand new version of GoToMeeting is that you can actually run a meeting, start a meeting, and run a meeting from an iPad. Now that's handy. You could always use an iPad as a client, but now you can actually let it run the meeting, which is pretty impressive. So check out GoToMeeting with HD Faces. Use this information here on the lower third screen where it says use the word podcast. Go to gotomeeting.com, enter the code word podcast, and you'll be able to take advantage of this awesome 30-day free trial. That's 30 days free for you to try GoToMeeting with HD Faces. You can even try it on your iPad now to run a meeting. So that's pretty awesome. Remember, meeting is believing. You got to try it, because if you don't try it, you won't understand how awesome it is. So do it now, all right? GoToMeeting
with HD faces. Meeting is believing, like I say. All right, let's get back to the blog and talk about this little bit of interesting information. Is open source beginning to horn in on Microsoft's monopoly? Ha! Yes, most businesses, sadly, are using Microsoft clients, meaning Windows machines, in a network, and larger, medium to large businesses, some small businesses, but mostly medium to large, are using Windows Active Directory to kind of keep all of those client PCs together under a domain, okay? Now, if you haven't worked at the domain level, you may not be as familiar with Active Directory, but it is a pretty handy tool. Now, here's what's cool. Samba, which is an open source project, been around for a very, very, very long time. They have always been able to offer file sharing from a Linux server, for instance, to Windows clients, and look just like a regular, Windows LAN manager server. Boy, that dates me calling that LAN manager. That goes back a long time. Anyway, but you could actually, at the command prompt, do a net use command and go to a Samba server, and it would actually work, which is pretty cool. But now, the new version of Samba they just released, dude, version 4, it's basically an Active Directory server. It'll do what Active Directory does for your clients. So that means you could have a free Linux operating system running a free version of Samba 4, and there used to be a word processor called Samna. See, and I get a little confused in my brain sometimes and try to call Samba Samna. Just a little trivia there. Very first PC word processor that I actually owned was Samna. Long since dead. The word processor. Yes. Anyway, just saying. But here's the thing. Now, with a free server and free software, you can emulate an Active Directory domain. That's just so cool. And then if you combine it with OpenChange, which is another open source project, you can actually have an Exchange server running under Linux for free. And all your Outlook clients will see it as just another Exchange server. Dude! Now, what does that mean for Microsoft? Yes, it means we can cut them out of the picture. Not give them any more of our hard-earned money. Just saying. Now, I had my buddy at work, the same one that believes that Internet Explorer is a good browser. He was saying, well, I sure wouldn't run my business on anything like that. Well, maybe he wouldn't, but I would. Just saying. But then I'm an open source dude, you know what I'm saying? So, now, the last item this week is quite interesting. This seems to be a Linux-y program today. Yes, there is a Netflix app for Linux. Netflix doesn't share the love of giving Linux users a Netflix app, but somebody wrote one anyway. Yes. So, I have here how to install Netflix as an app on your Linux box, whether you're running Fedora or Ubuntu or Linux Mint, which is my very favorite, is Linux Mint. Okay? So, this is how you would do it. On Linux Mint, you would do a sudo apt-add-repository. Now, in the Linux world, dashes are called tacks. I don't know why that is, but the way this should actually be said is sudo space apt-add repository space ppa then colon ehoover whack comp Julio COMPHOLIO. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. No, anyway. Then you do a sudo apt get update, apt-tac get update. Then you do a sudo apt-tac get space install space Netflix tac desktop, and it will install the application. How cool is that? Now that's for both Ubuntu and Linux Mint in 64-bit and 32-bit. Unfortunately for Fedora, it only works in 32-bit. Sorry, but that's the way it is. So there you go. Now, I would like to say that I found this, but I didn't. I actually got it off of Nixie Pixel's OS Alt program. I watch her OS Alt program because it has all kinds of open source. As she says, your source for open source. Yes. So, Nixie found it. I just told you about it. So there you go. But Netflix for Linux, dude. Just saying. So anyway, that's it for this week. Join us next time. Remember, until then, the doctor is out of here.
Dr. Bill, the Computer Curmudgeon, is a production of drbilldaily.net with all the honors, rights, and privileges thereunto appertaining.